by the way, I know we got a lot of heavy shit to get into.
Yeah.
But I got to underline this and put exclamation points behind this again.
Okay.
It's fucking crazy to me that you helped me move. It's fucking crazy to me because your job is Rockstar. You fly in private planes.
I don't move anything for my job.
Yeah, that's right. People move your shit for you.
Yeah.
I come to you a few weeks ago and I say, hey man, can I get a phone number of a roadie, an assistant, someone that works for you? I'll give them $100. I just got to move 3 large items. I got to move a couch, a bed, and a table. And you went, I'll just move. I'll help you. And I was like, what? And then you showed up.
I'm off the road right now. I could use that $100.
If you were driving past that storage unit and did a double take, yes, that was Chris Kael from Five Finger Death Punch helping me move. I went to a couple nights ago. I went to an Ace Frehley concert at Samstown because there's 2 guys in that band that I've done tons of gigs with over the years, Jeremy Asbrook and Ryan Cook. And they were both asking me, why do you like Vegas? And I go, oh, dude, my friends. I go, I love the people who live here in Vegas. I go, dude, Five Finger Death Punch helped me move. Now it's become the whole band. And I repeated that several times, like, oh man, this is my buddy from Nashville. He just moved to Vegas. I go, isn't this town great? Aren't the people great? Dude, Five Finger Death Punch helped me move.
Yep.
Like, it's become a thing where the band has helped me. I cannot emphasize enough how much that meant to me that you helped me. That was, I'm telling people, like, even as I tell people, I'm still blown away, but I'm like, dude, what a nice guy Chris is that he helped me move.
And I'd like to take this opportunity to put up chriskaelmoves.com available for your moving needs anywhere in the Las Vegas Valley.
Dude, that seriously says a lot about you and what kind of human being you are.
Well, I think I told you, I actually moved. I had a moving gig for about 2 days.
This is the funniest story ever. You just joined Five Finger Death Punch. This is literally just joined.
Yes, in the very beginning.
And the financial agreement was like, ooh, I'm going to need to make some money to make this work.
Right. So I knew I was going to have to work because I was a new guy in the band. I wasn't getting any retainer at that point. And I know how to play chess. And I knew that a couple of the people in the band, it's a huge brand. It was a huge brand at that point already. And I was trying to figure out a way to negotiate my way into a retainer. So what better way than picking up a moving gig from my friend Brian. He runs a moving company. And I legitimately needed the money. I was like, I had taken a pay cut going from bartending in Vegas.
That's
to the new guy.
Insane.
Yeah, I mean, that really how much money is to be made in Vegas. It's still close.
Say that really says a lot about how much money can be made in bartending here in Vegas.
Exactly.
But yeah, that you actually were taking a pay cut to join Five Finger Death Punch at that time.
Absolutely. And imagine if I was pretty, how much of a pay cut I'd be taking.
You know what? And I got to say, this is not like arena stadium level Five Finger Death Punch. I mean, when I saw the first time I met you, you guys were doing theaters. First time I met you. So, but you guys were doing good.
Oh yeah.
You guys were doing good.
Yeah.
And already on your way and already ascending. But the story I remember is that you told me that one of the guys in the band called you up and said, hey man, you want to get together? And you said, I got to go to work.
Sorry, bro. Got to work.
One of the other guys in Five Finger Death Punch is trying to get you to collaborate with him on something, but you had to go to work. And he was like, what?
He was like, work?
Like,
what? I was like, yeah, man, I picked up a gig moving furniture and I just moved this ridiculous piano. I wanted to hang myself after that move. Wow. It was terrible. I mean, I want to hang myself a lot, but that day in particular,
man,
I've already got the built-in.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Demonetized.
And
I just unalived myself live.
And
or unalive, is it?
Canceled.
Yes.
So,
yeah, I told him, I let, he asked if I could go hang out. I was like, sorry, man, I gotta work. He's like, work. And I shortly had a retainer, within days.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's how you do it, man.
Yeah.
You got the gig. And
I'm grateful for them stepping up and keeping me from having to move another piano because that was in the rain. It was terrible. With the boss I love, I'm not even going to say who the guy's name is. If he's listening, he knows who he is. We have the segment Chris is pissed. Woo! This dude, that could be his entire show.
Well, I don't know if we're going to get into a Chris is pissed because you just came back from a pretty serious thing. So
actually, we can roll once we're to that part. We can still roll it because I can still tie it into Chris is pissed.
But you had a heavy weekend.
I did, and
you told me a couple days ago that something serious had just happened, and you had to skip town for a few days.
Actually, which leads us to. Are we queued up for Chris is pissed? Okay, so we're gonna edit that in, and we're gonna keep all this in too. He goes, "No, man, you can. We're gonna put that in when you start. Go ahead and getting that deposit in that we just talked about. This is a business, boy."
Don't edit that. I want to keep all of that.
Every bit of it, yeah.
So you went through some.
I didn't go through shit, honestly. Looking at things, I'm trying to keep the perspective. Let me back up. This past, I forget what day it was, Thursday or Friday. I got a call from Zoltan, letting me know that a good friend of ours, whose daughter has been battling cancer, got moved to hospice this week. And this is a dude who is an incredible human being, very generous, grew up incredibly poor.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, incredibly poor. Has had a lot thrown at him. Has worked, literally pulled, he's the American dream. Starting off in poverty, and he's doing incredibly well today. And continues to give to charities, and just a wonderful human being. He's helped me out in dark times. Right before I got sober, actually, I was talking to him about how I felt out of control, and he's had some surroundings with addiction as well, and kind of gave me a little pep talk, and that was before I went to rehab. Yeah. So
I know that you've been going to do charity events with him.
Yeah.
Over the years, you once a year you go out there and do an event that he.
Yeah, I do, and I don't want to say what it is because I'm trying to keep his personal stuff out of here and basically just talk about the stuff that I'm going through. So I don't want to give too much information as to who the guy is, just for privacy concerns for him. But his daughter, not even 30, moved to hospice care because of cancer. So what I'm pissed about this week is cancer. But it's more of a sad, really, than anger. It sucks seeing your friend go through that. A father who's got a daughter who he even said, it's supposed to be me in there. I'm supposed to go first. That hit me. I was like, whoa. So again, I'm trying to. My life is good. I'm healthy. I'm sober. Career-wise, band's going great. So this is more empathy that's making me sad today. If I look at things and see my life, it gives me a new perspective, or not a new perspective, but further emboldens the perspective of living in the moment, realizing that the time that we are gifted is minuscule. And then to have, a young girl who if she's 30, she's barely 30. To see her going through that. She was cognizant and aware when I got to see her. So I got a couple of laughs out of her and the family while I was in there. Yeah. So you feel powerless in a situation like that. I am a big, strong, tough guy, and this has me shook. Like it sucked. As an addict, I start getting into my own head, pondering, overthinking things, pondering time. I'm 50 right now. I don't think about mortality ever, but because of this experience this past weekend, began to overthink and kind of spiral a little bit. I'm sober, so don't message me. Things are still good. I appreciate your concern. But honestly, like the drugs and alcohol, hasn't even been a thought as like, I need to turn to that. I've been angry, very angry. And there's a couple of times I wouldn't like this ring would have been imprinted on people's foreheads over the weekend because I feel like on edge and ready to snap. And that's the reaction that I'm having being in that uncomfortable situation.
So are you saying that the uncomfortable feelings usually put you towards drugs and alcohol, but now it doesn't?
Back in the day, this would have been something triggering for me. I would have gone into self-pity probably. Made it about me. Oh, I'm feeling so bad about this. No, I because of sobriety and because of the work that I do and continue to do every single day through morning gratitude lists, meditation, hanging out with other addicts and talking about stuff like this. This podcast is a wonderful example of things that allow me to continue to put space between my active addiction and today. So yeah, that emotionally reactive was triggers for me back in the day. If I started feeling sad, if less than, that would be when it would drive me to, I called it a case of the fuckets.
Yeah,
that's the thing that I was most in danger of back in the day. But I don't have a fuck it attitude with this. Like I'm genuinely, I rushed down to be with him and his family, and was able to be there in a capacity that I would not have been able to have been there were I not sober. I would have been a mess, emotional mess. Add the alcohol on top of that, even worse, as far as like getting sad and depressed and all that stuff.
That is the biggest thing that people struggle with when we're both sober, you and I, but people who try to get into recovery, the moment something pops up that makes you mad, makes you sad, whatever, it's like, oh man, fuck this. And you just want to just dive right back in. And it's tough. You got to really, really want it. You got to really, really want that recovery. And it's crazy to me that I wanted it so bad when I got to that point that I just was able to just go. I wanted it so, I had hurt myself so much. And I think it was like a couple of years when I finally admitted it to my mom. And I said, hey, I said, I just want you to know I had a problem with drugs and alcohol, and I'm sober now. I've been sober, I think it was like 2 years at the time. And, it's been really helpful to me. And maybe it would be helpful to you if you looked into something like this. My mom looked at me and she went, I don't believe you. I think you're lying. And for half a second, I immediately went to like, fuck this. I'm getting fucked up, right? And I was solid in recovery.
Oh yeah. If I'm being accused of it, I might as well do it.
Yeah. I couldn't believe how immature and irrational I was in a split second.
That is exactly it. Back then, I was very emotionally immature, fairly mentally immature in regards to knowing how to deal with stuff as well. And today, several years into recovery, I've got the tools that I need to be able to kind of maintain an emotional stability, even in difficult situations like this. Yeah, and I feel the silver lining is that when I'm hit with stuff like this, being around the sort of thing others are going through, and even when my mom passed away, I was very I was grateful for the work that I've done and the tools that I have available. I hosted a Zoom AA meeting the afternoon of my mom's funeral because I needed to talk about it. And I was afraid still early on at that point. I was still afraid of being in a headspace that would cause me to spiral.
Did your mom trigger you at all when she was around? Because I know my mom did when she was around.
No, I had a pretty solid family upbringing, very positive, very supportive. But yeah, so yeah, I don't feel that that I was triggered on that end. I carry some anger issues that I learned at home.
Learned at home from where?
Sorry, Dad. I'm here on the couch with my therapist, Craig Gass, aka the Weirdo from the Beardo and the Weirdo. I talk about not being able to fix anything around the house. That's because when I was young, anytime my dad was like fixing stuff around the house, it was a cuss fest, throwing stuff, mad that things weren't working. And so I carried like I'm very 0 to fucking 1,000.
When
You know,
when
that
you're
we have a
trying-
whole segment called Chris is Pissed.
Yeah. So you get triggered, like there's like something in your DNA when you're working on stuff in the house that you get angry.
I don't even know about DNA, but just I saw the anger there.
And you carried it.
I carried it. I wore my emotions on my sleeve for a long time. It's probably why I trained Muay Thai. Yeah, so I could take that out on bags and people who drive in the left-hand lane. That's a callback.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? This reminds me of a guy really close to me was telling me about how he was abused as a kid, and he was just really confessing to me like, "Hey, this is what happened in my life." And my dad used to, he was just shitty to me. He would beat me until I remember he told me, he said when I think he said 15 years old, he goes, "I just beat the shit. I just was relentless. I just beat him down. I just kept beating him, and he never touched me again." And the guy, and I was shocked that he said this to me. And I hope that him saying this to me means that he has acknowledged it and gotten help for this. But he looked at me and said, "But that anger that I grew up with carried into my marriage." And I went, "Holy shit."
Yeah.
Like that is a crazy confession. And I hope that him, again, confessing that to me means that he's been dealing with it head on. But that's so crazy.
Yeah.
It's one specific thing. Like there are people who grow up, they see a parent, they see their dad behaving in a way that they don't even realize they become that later in life.
Oh, yeah.
And you saw your dad in a specific moment fixing stuff around the house.
Yep.
He would just motherfuck everything.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
then you still, what's funny is I notice that you tell me when something with the cable or with the phone, and I've never seen it myself, but you'll tell me, you're like, "Oh man, I just want to slam this phone."
Oh, yeah.
Like,
there was one year I
wow.
broke 5 cell phones in 1 year out of anger, throwing it, mad, and don't regret a single moment of it. I would spend every dollar again. And that's back before I had the retainer.
Did we talk about that angry moment that my comedian Jim Norton analyzed about the football player who punched that guy?
I don't recall us talking about that.
Dude, Jim Norton, one of the greatest comedians on planet Earth. He's really one of the closest things we have to a modern day George Carlin. And I remember Jimmy having a discussion about, there was a famous incident that happened in New York with the New York Jets. Geno Smith, who now plays for the Seahawks, I'm having a tough time with because he's not playing really well right now, but Geno Smith was going to be the starting quarterback for the New York Jets. Behind the scenes, there was some money that was owed to a guy on the team. Geno owed somebody money. I can't remember if it was a bet or a charity event that he was supposed to reimburse. Money was owed to one of his guys on the team. And he said to Geno, the backstory was, "Hey man, where's that money?" And Geno said, I don't need to give you that money. And Geno was not going to give him the money that he properly owed him. And the guy stewed on it.
Yep. That's what happens.
Walked up to him in the locker room, punched him right in the mouth, broke his jaw.
Ooh.
And it was like the last week of preseason. It was preseason.
Yeah.
Broke the starting quarterback's jaw. The starting quarterback is now out. And that guy got dropped. And Jimmy Norton, I remember him talking about that story, and he just, like a guy who's clearly been through stuff himself, he said, all I keep thinking about is what went through that guy's mind the moment he connected with that jaw. Because I know that in your mind you think, oh, this is going to feel so good to let somebody know, fuck you. But the moment you do that, you know you've just ruined your life. The moment you actually
career gone,
act on anger, uncontrollable anger, and assault somebody, you know your life has changed. And he just kept going over and over that one little moment with a fine-tooth comb, going like, what was going through his mind? Because he probably knew as soon as he connected with his jaw that he broke his jaw.
Absolutely.
And what was going through his mind of like, oh no. Because I mean, sometimes in an argument, when you're really mad at somebody, sometimes you'll say the worst thing. And you can't
look at both of us
back.
lighten up in the face. Just say the worst. Yeah, we do.
We're both thinking about the worst. And you can't take that back. Oh, like that. that kind of hostility, but tying into the weekend that you had.
Mm-hmm. Actually, hold on. Let me back up on the anger stuff with my dad. So he would be fixing things around the house. It'd be a cuss fest. So I would just be hiding up in my room, like, ugh, like I don't.
Wow.
Why do I want to learn how to do any of that? Like I don't. Ugh, no. So I committed to busting my ass in whatever endeavor I was going into. Back then it was delivering pizza.
Okay.
But yeah, I at that point I was like, I don't give a damn about fixing anything around the house. I don't want to learn that. I don't want to be around that energy. So I want to bust my ass so that I can pay other people who know what they're doing to keep me from having those same anger issues. Because if the Wi-Fi goes off in the house, woo!
Really?
You were talking about cable and all that stuff, man. I hate it when technology doesn't do a damn job. I hate it when anything doesn't do its damn job. I do my damn job. It should be doing its damn job too. And
it's funny because I'm thinking about, and this is me talking about Jimmy Norton again, but Jimmy has said many times that when his Dallas Cowboys don't play well, he has broken many phones and many TVs, I think he said, because they're not playing well. So that frustration.
Did I tell you about the time that I was really dealing with some sports frustration as well? So Kentucky.
Was this betting?
No, I used to gamble on sports, and it would piss me off. I've told you this before too.
By the way, what you're about to say is the reason why I don't bet on sports.
Oh, So my team is the Kentucky Wildcats, basketball, football, volleyball, whatever. I grew up in Kentucky, and anyone who grows up in Kentucky knows that Kentucky sports are the be all end all. Everything revolves around the Big Blue. And this particular year, I had been running my mouth because Kentucky was undefeated in basketball going to the finals, the national championship. And I was with my ex-wife back then at her parents' house in Ohio watching the basketball game. And I had been running my mouth on Twitter so much that season.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
And Kentucky
trash talk, picking on individuals.
Yeah. And even like people would come after me. Like, I don't mind me and you busting balls over sports because I know you.
Right. Strangers.
If some dork on Twitter is coming after you, don't know me like that. Yeah. See the anger coming up on me now?
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So, that bugs me. It's like, you don't know me like that. Like, no, you don't get to talk to me like that. So
you're talking trash.
When they win, I'll be right here waiting for the apology. Yep. So I'm on the couch just fuming, wanting to rage because I knew what was coming on Twitter. I knew I'd been running my mouth.
Running your mouth. And your
here is Kentucky missing every free throw. It was terrible. And I remember that was a big day for me because at that point, I'm like, why am I getting so upset over something I have nothing to do with? I didn't miss the free throws.
Right.
I didn't take the stupid shots.
Yep.
I'm still fine. They're not taking the championship away from me. I'm pissed for, an hour or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized, why am I putting so much focus on the outcomes of things that I have nothing to do with?
Exactly.
And talking about sports gambling, I used to bet on Kentucky all the time. And they would win, but oftentimes they didn't cover that spread. So they would win, but I would lose. So I couldn't even enjoy the victory of my team.
That's the story I was talking about.
Yeah.
I don't gamble on sports because of that. Because I totally understood that feeling. I've bet on the Seahawks, I think 2 or 3 times. And every time I've bet on them, they've always lost. And I thought, well, maybe that's the bad luck thing. I shouldn't be trying to I should just be enjoying the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And trying to.
Now that I've gotten away from gambling, like that's part of my recovery process, is that kind of taps into the same empty energy boosts based on something that, is artificial and external. And in recovery, I don't do fantasy football. I don't play. I get so mad. I can't. Yeah, no way. I couldn't tell you how many damn games I lost by half a point.
You know what? I've always wanted to ask you, did you ever, we're both in recovery, so we're both like constantly doing group stuff.
Mm-hmm. Orgies, you mean?
Yeah.
Vegas. Good to see you again from this angle, finally.
The lifestyle.
Yeah.
We're both part of the lifestyle. Have you ever done therapy, one-on-one therapy? You ever do?
Oh, yeah. I got therapy scheduled at 2:00 today, every Monday.
And so I'm assuming you talk about anger and stuff in there and, and work through that. So are you better now having gone through therapy.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, the one place that I still allow myself to be angry is behind the wheel, which is probably not the best place to be angry. But even then, it's more like me joking around. Like I elevate, but I'm funny, particularly if somebody else is in the car.
Right.
But yeah, my thing is
comes from a real place though.
Coming from a real place. I'll be on somebody's ass in the left-hand lane who either doesn't know the rules or doesn't give a damn. And I'm just like, oh, and then they'll finally get over. I'll speed past them. And it's usually Melissa in the passenger seat. I'm like, ate the wall, bitch. NASCAR right there.
How's your buddy doing, by the way?
He's doing as good as he can be. Yeah, we both expressed the fact that even in difficult times like this right now is bringing so much love into the house. So many people coming by to say hello. So many people. Me and Zoltan both flew to his house this weekend to be of support. Just being surrounded. He said something to the effect of, he's got kids and knew what love was, but is feeling it on a whole different level now that this tragedy is unfolding.
That's why I'm a fan of tragedy. I've always been a huge fan of tragedy. Mm-hmm. The bigger the tragedy, the harder you get punched in the mouth by life, the more clarity you get.
Absolutely.
And whether it's the heartbreak of, someone who you thought you loved not working out or them doing something bad to you, or losing somebody who you love, the more pain you feel, hopefully you have the tools to reassert what's important. It's amazing to me how quickly things come into focus when you're hurting on that level, like really, really hurting. And the realization of who you shouldn't have in your life and who you should be better to,
Yep.
One of the greatest movies I've ever seen in my life is a movie called My Life. Did you ever see My Life?
I think so. It rings a bell.
Is
it the one, like he's got a son and something happens?
Yeah, he's about to have his first kid based on a true story.
Okay. It's not Steve Carell?
It's Michael Keaton.
Okay, I'm not familiar with this one.
Michael Keaton and Nicole Kidman, and based on a true story about a guy who's been diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer. He's got a few months to live. His wife is pregnant with their first kid. So he starts videotaping himself, talking to the camera. And it starts out with him saying like, hey, I'm your dad. And I've been told that I'm going to die soon. Here's the problem. You're about to be born. And for better or worse, I want you to know who I am. But I mean, hey, doesn't mean I'm not going to be here when you get here. I'm, who knows? Anything can happen.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the movie is the most realistic portrayal of how people behave with death that I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. It's brutal. I remember seeing it for the first time and telling somebody about it, and they were like, "Oh, I won't even watch that movie," because my friend was telling me that she was a waitress at this restaurant, and that she came to a table and she's like, "Hey, can I get you guys some drink?" "Oh my God, what are you guys okay?" And these people were bawling at the table. Mm-hmm. And she's like, "Are you all right? What's going on?" They said, "We just went to the movies." And she goes, "What did you see?" And they go, "We saw My Life." She goes, "Well, I'm never watching that movie."
Yeah.
And it is brutal. It is brutal because it's accurate. It's amazing to me how, again, going to that clarity, we all have relationships in our life where, for whatever reason, they should be better relationships, but they're not, and they're just shitty. And it's been shitty for so long, you don't even know where it started. You just know you've just thrown so much shit at each other. It's just piled up so high you can't even see through the shit. But there's just something about serious life pain that can eliminate that stuff. And man, that movie portrays it so accurately, how people put aside their differences and just go, "Man, I'm sorry. I love you." And so when you told me what you were going through this weekend, I understood, and I hope your friend is okay. And
Yeah.
I'm really sorry to hear about all that stuff, man. That is a tough thing to go through. So
Absolutely.
you obviously came out the other side with an incredible experience, especially describing what you said.
Yep.
Your friend said.
And I want to thank you today, Craig, and you, Matt, we were supposed to be doing this podcast on Saturday. It's Monday today. And you guys adjusted your schedules and made it possible for me to be able to be out of town for my friend and his family and be able to come in today and kind of process some of this stuff. So I appreciate you guys being flexible and offering the free use of the studio today, Matt. Thank you.
Matt and I actually came in. Matt and I came in
Craig didn't even catch that one. Right over his head. He's so excited about whatever he's getting ready to say next.
I'm so excited to get to the joke of telling you that we came in on Saturday and recorded an episode with the original bassist from 5 Finger.
See, that's good.
Damn it.
I stepped on your punchline.
Damn it.
For stepping on mine.
But yeah, really, really heavy thing. And
so let me lighten this up real quick.
Yes, please.
So we showed up at 9:00 in the morning here. Me at like 9:05.
Yes. Rockstar time.
I don't know how you people do it out there.
We just lost everyone.
God.
Holy shit. There goes our audience. You just big timed an entire audience.
No, this is me acknowledging how difficult I had just showing up for one day of work at 9:05 in the morning. So hats off to all you people out there who are
the most unrelatable statement of all time. Chris Kael, everybody.
I'm going to back up. I bartended for years. So my schedule is already like,
a nighttime.
Yeah.
Late night.
From bartending to being in bands forever ago. I mean, I gear towards being a night owl, and to have that flip-flopped and for me to have to show up at 9:00 in the morning after having dealt with life, I mean, my life is easy. My job today, I get on stage for an hour and a half a day sometimes. So it just it gave me the perspective of just humility and the appreciation of what others have to go through. Also seeing the struggle that my friend was having this weekend, just being aware of things that other people are going through and being grateful that I have gone through all that stuff. Worked very hard to not have to wake up at 9 a.m. and to be able to schedule on my phone a nap time from 8 to 8:30 p.m. before I have to go on stage at 9:30 p.m.
Well, life speeds by really quick, man. It especially when you're having fun and you're enjoying it and you're lucky enough to be able to do what you want to do for a living. But these moments like this are moments that stop you. You and I both, and we've never really talked about it together. I just know that separately, we both went through the experience of losing our moms recently. And I only remember, because obviously I knew that your mom had passed away, and you would talk about her in text and reminders you were getting about her in text. And you said that the day that your mom passed away, you hosted a recovery meeting that day because you wanted to be able to talk. The day after my mom passed away, I went on stage and started doing material about, because she did say really funny things before she passed. Like her mind all the way to the end was still just true to who she was. She loved gossip. She loved like celebrity magazines and stuff like that. And she still was really fired up about stuff that was going on on TMZ. Right.
I remember that joke from your set, which you can, I believe, find on YouTube coming up fairly soon, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, whichever platform decides to host it. I don't want to jump the gun on that one.
But
that's some of your best stuff. I love seeing that.
Yeah, the heaviness of that stuff we've gone through, we never really discussed with each other. But that's a man. That what was tough about that is that was like my biggest fear as a kid. Do you remember learning about death? Do you remember because I do. I remember my mom was one who taught me that we're going to die. Do you remember a distinct moment of like being taught that you're going to die?
I don't remember being taught, but I remember. I think my first experience with someone passing was my papaw.
How old were you?
I was less than 10, but I'm not exactly sure at that point what age it was.
So do you remember that as being the concept setting in that this happens? Is that how you remember it? Or were you already aware that?
I mean, I probably knew,
Hmm.
but that's the first time I remember experiencing
Hmm.
someone else passing away that was close, or really at all. I think that was the very first one, probably 8 or 9 years old. But I don't recall lessons or anything. I was big in church. My mom and dad, religious, which, you know, I used to kind of shit on that sort of thing. Like, okay, cool, you know, whatever. But when my mom passed, their religion was so comforting for both of them during that whole time that I'll never shit on anybody for whatever they believe. You know, as long as that belief doesn't cross over into the lives of other people. I'm not into that. But whatever you need to help you get, I mean, life is tough. Life is incredibly hard. Who am I to shit on somebody for
Of course.
whatever they need to get through? But that's positive, whatever they're going through, you know?
I think it's natural when you're younger to just be flippant about everything.
Yeah, I listen to way too much Deicide, man.
Yeah. Dude, that's the third time that band has come up in conversation in the last week, man. Deicide seems to be popping up in conversation.
Thank you to Glenn Benton of Deicide for sponsoring this episode of The Beardo and the Weirdo. Back to you, Craig.
But I remember distinctly my mom, I had a dog that died. And my mom was explaining to me, it's okay. This is what happens. We're all going to die. I still remember going like, wait, what?
Mhm.
Like, I still remember being traumatized by we're all going to end.
Mhm.
All of us are going to end at some point. And at the time, it wasn't because of like, it was like, oh, I'm going to end. And I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Are you telling me my mom? Like that.
Oh, yeah.
And then for the rest of my life, like I go in for like auditions, for like acting stuff, whatever. If you try to think of like, you got to be sad for this. What is the saddest thing? Always right to like the idea of losing your mom. That's the saddest possible thing you can possibly think of.
Yeah.
So when the moment actually happens, it's just like, holy shit.
So judging from your comedy that I've seen, you're just thinking bad shit on stage all the time.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
That's Beardo for you, everybody. Insensitive fucking Beardo. But yeah, dude.
While
it's,
also overly sensitive at the same time.
Isn't that funny?
Yep.
Isn't that funny that we're like,
Yeah.
as you know, we're just thin-skinned people who
Yep.
also, I mean, for me, it's just like always wanting to just laugh and have a good time.
Mhm.
And I feel like I can laugh at anything, but there is a sensitivity that surprises friends of mine. Like, what? That bothered you? And I'm like, yeah, like, of course that bothered me. And then same thing with you. It's like angry guy,
Yeah.
big dude. I say this all the time, but whenever you want to go to a comedy show, you're like, hey, do you know this comedian? I go, yeah, I'll text him. I go, hey, is it cool if I send a musician buddy of mine? He's from the band 5 Finger Death Punch. His name's Chris Kael. And I always say he looks really intimidating, but he's a sweetheart. And I'm like, yeah. Well,
Don't let this cute little voice fool you.
Well,
I will fuck you up.
I feel weird for bringing up anything funny or silly in this podcast. I think we should just leave it at that because it's a great discussion to have from time to time because life pops up and it sucks when something like that happens. And you and I had not only plans to come in here, there were plans to go to shows over the weekend.
Yep.
And you were like, we were moving. You were helping me move my stuff.
Mhm.
And I said, so, hey, what's going on tonight? What time are you going to be at the show? And you were like, oh,
Well,
actually, changing plans. I have to now fly. I have to get out of here because of this. This is what happened. So shout out to your friend who's going through a tough time and anyone out there who's going through a tough time and go see Chris Kael, go see me soon. And I'm actually leaving today for New Zealand and Australia. And I promise if you come to see me, it will not be this sad.
I've seen your show, Craig. That's a big promise.
God damn it.
I kid. You're all right.
Perfect.
Please tell me you got your face on the reaction of you're all right.
Yeah.
Make sure you smash that like and subscribe button, as the kids say.